all units, 1010S at 36 and Park. Repeat, all units be advised. Shots fired at Fisk Towers.
Yuri, I'm here.
What do you see?
Find the rest. Boss wants them dead.
So clocking in at about the 49-second mark of the trailer, this is just a little detail I came across that may hint at the level of detail Insomniac are really putting into this game. So if you take a close look at these demons, they have a different mask featuring different designs, but what's interesting is this is true with two very similar grunts. Whereas most games would feature very similar designs for grunts, this game actually features a different design for each of the grunts, meaning that there may be a even more variety here. I didn't take a special look at any of most of the trailer because these are just the close-ups that we get in this trailer, but the rest of them are kind of like drawn back, so I couldn't really make it out. And at the same time, I wasn't really looking for that kind of detail. I was looking for more detailed stuff, but it's just something to keep in mind that Insomniac may be going to that level to maybe be put in a system that randomly generates these masks for them, and that's a very cool detail because it'll give a fresh look to most of the grunts in the game, and that'll add like kind of like that more realistic kind of feel to.
Looks like the demons are moving in on Fisk's territory.
You got this?
I got this.
Now, for our first look at this game's heads-up display, there's some interesting details. So at the bottom right, the interaction button is revealed to be triangle, which is not too surprising, but we also get to see that it changes and it becomes other things here and out throughout the trailer. So just keep an eye out for it, and you will see like the different things that you can really do here, because the other ones are straightforward, but the text that we see right here when we very first get a look at the heads-up display is Webb Strike Takedown. This makes me wonder, is this the same takedown we saw in the original HUDless trailer, which we're gonna find out later that it actually is. But anyways, now at the top right, we learned later that that's actually a combo meter, and what I'm wondering is when it fills, after performing a certain amount of strings of combos, when it fills, will we get to change, of course, will we get a special move that we can actually change with experience points or some sort of skill tree? My reasoning for that assumption is what we see under the health bar, which is like kind of a sort of motion detection Web C4, similar to what we saw in the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. In one of those trailers, if you remember, there was a guy that was on the ferry and he was kind of trying to run up at Spider-Man, and he used that type of web option and stuff, and it was revealed in the trailer he had 100 different webbed options. So imagine just a quarter, like 2/4 of those, like just 50 of those, making their way into this game and being something that we can use to actually further the level of depth and variety that you actually have in this game, seeing as we already get to see him use the exact same one that we saw in that Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, which obviously is going to be compared and contrasted here for you guys, so that way you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So this is one of the most interesting things I think we'll see out of the AI inside of this trailer. So to my knowledge, in most Spider-Man games, when you web a grunt and remove them from the picture, it's like the grunts around them generally tend to not be able to see them on some kind of dumb shit. But in Spider-Man PS4, these niggas will be completely aware of things going on around them, and this made me wonder about the level of skill this game requires to keep up the stealth these games are known for, only capable and possible with Spider-Man's unique iconic abilities. So whether or not that's actually something that you can do, or whether or not it's just because he hung him over this rail, which is kind of like oh wait, that guy's right there and you can actually see them type of thing. So I'm wondering, if you're hanging onto a wall, you're clinging to a wall and you web someone up, will they still be able to see that? Do they have to be like directly in their line of sight or at their level? Like, do they have to be like at the same height of their character models to actually be able to see them, or is this something that's going to be effective throughout the game? Like, will we actually have to web people up onto the wall to where it's kind of like, kind of in those same kind of situations you see in the cartoons and the movies, to where Spider-Man puts someone up on the wall and stuff, and it's kind of like the bad guys still don't fucking see them some fucking how. I'm wondering if you would have to do something like that to really keep up the stealth, and how accessible is that really going to be? So let me know you guys' thoughts on that. Do you think that finally we'll have a game that's more realistic in that sense of how aware the AI actually are? And maybe there was another game that had AI that was this, um accurate and this like realistic. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't really remember like any of them that were actually this freaking detailed, to where if you web somebody up and put them up on like the same level as the other enemies, or to where they obviously should be able to see them. I don't remember that happening in any of the other Spider-Man games that I've actually played. And I remember playing all three of the original Spider-Man games from the not the original Spider-Man games. I have played the original one, the one that I believe was on the PlayStation 1. And then I did play Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, the ones that were released for the movies. I played all of those. And then I've played the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I played a little bit of the one that was on GameCube, but I can't actually remember it right now.
This minute flips.
So the next thing we see is that Webb Grenade C4 I mentioned earlier being put to use to cover Spider-Man's ass to keep up that stealth streak being showcased at the beginning of this trailer. So once again, I don't know if there will be an actual skill tree or equipment tree to where we kind of get to like upgrade this thing, or really go on and create different ones, or like collect, there's some collectibles of some sort that'll allow us to unlock other ones. Like, just imagine one of these same exact kind of things to where you can place it at the center of like a group of enemies, and then it just like webs all of them, and it's like an auto web thing. Now I feel like that would make it too easy, so something like that would need a serious fucking cooldown just to balance it out. And it's something that you would have to use more tactical and think about it the way you want to use it. Or maybe it can be like something that you only get to use one of during each individual kind of like encounter. So I don't know about something like that, but I feel like stuff like that is what they're going for with these things, because once again, these things seem to be based off of the 100 different webbed options that Spider-Man has, and Spider-Man Homecoming, which is mentioned in one of those trailers. So I don't know, man. It could be pretty badass to see some different kind of tech make its way into Spider-Man for us to be able to utilize for different kind of options, and it'll just add to the replayability of the game, because once you finish the game in one way, you'll want to go back and kind of fill up that skill tree and test out the other different options and see like, oh, maybe this time I want to play it without using any of the webbed options. Maybe this time I want to play it and just use the C4 and see how effective that is, and try and like just make it completely harder and harder on yourself, or make it completely easy. Speedrunners, see what's the best one, and if we get to carry that into a new save, of course, a new game save, then you could have the best ones unlocked almost immediately, and you can try to speed run through this game. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's gonna make for some very interesting gameplay, and it's going to add a different level of course, everyone's experience is going to be kind of different, kind of, because whether or not you want to make it easy on yourself and go for the web option that you can only use one of, and of course this is just hypothetical talk, but you can only use one of per encounter, meaning like in this mission he could only use it one time, and then after that you're just pretty much on your own. But just imagine like, can you imagine that? Just think of all the YouTubers that you watch besides me, and just think of how different everyone's gameplay or everyone's walkthroughs could actually be due to how they decide to evolve that skill tree, and what, of course, webbed option they decide to use inside of this game.
Through the building. Eliminate them.
So, holy shit, my dudes. Interactable environments are a damn thing in this game. From the sandbags to this crane, holy fuck, niggas. It's gonna happen. But in all seriousness, this feature is a nice touch to complement the photorealism. It's a super nice touch. Like, I just can't stress that enough. I mean, Spider-Man using his environment to do things is something that's been in Spider-Man since literally the inception of the fucking comics. It's been in every freaking movie, and it should have been in every freaking game. Even the later games haven't really gone into that depth of using the environment. There's been a few things you can use here and there, such as like fire hydrants or and stuff like that. And that is using your environment to fight. But have you ever tell me one Spider-Man game? Because I don't know of any. And like I already listed all the ones I've played for you guys, and those are the ones that's generally closest to being like those kind of realistic ones. I don't remember any game actually allowing you to use anything like a fucking crane and take out like literally a group of niggas. I don't remember no game doing that. I know there's stuff like you can use a tank, not a tank of gas. I wanted to say a tank, but I forgot what those little cylinder things are called. You can use one of those, and you can use Spider-Man's, of course, web and stuff, and he can pretty much slam it into him, and it'll kind of be like a bomb that automatically puts everyone into that stun to where you can web them up, and they'll be put down and stuff for the rest of that mission. But I don't remember anything being like this to where like you can literally use a crane and just knock these niggas out. I don't remember nothing like that in any other Spider-Man game. So let me know what you guys think about this.
Don't want a helmet.
So finally, we got our reveal that the web rush we saw on the bottom right is in fact the same one we saw in the E3 2016 trailer. So what I'm wondering is, does it always have to be the final guy for it to actually slow down and do the close-up? I feel like that's generally what Spider-Man games do, or literally any superhero game does, or any game that's more so based around kind of like this beat 'em up kind of concept. Usually you just web the guy, or I don't want to say web the guy because not every game features web. This is a Spider-Man game though, so I guess I could say it, huh? Right? I can say it. This is a Spider-Man video. So usually you'll web the guy in most Spider-Man games, and even in even in the Amazing Spider-Man games, you know, there was those final like dudes and stuff, and when you're beating up on them, it'll do a kind of close up, and it'll do like a more cinematic finish for that enemy, the very last one. So it seems like that's what's happening here, because he does use this again, and you'll see that it kind of does have the same effect, but it isn't at the same level of detail, or it isn't at the same level, like it isn't slowed down or anything. It's just more so like it happens. But you're gonna have to keep your eye out for it, because I'm not gonna bring it up again. You know now though that what we saw in the E3 2016 trailer, which obviously I'm gonna give you guys a comparison for you guys to compare and contrast for yourselves. That is the actual takedown that was at the bottom right. So that's interesting to take note of.
You got what you came for. You don't need to kill us too.
Fisk's territory is ours now.
Not today.
Spider-Man! Tell the boss is here!
God, I love how seamless this game is between cutscenes and actual gameplay. So here we get to take a look into the combat Spider-Man PS4 will have to offer, and if you have a keen eye, it looks like Spidey will be doing more realistic movements, more acrobatic movements, and his counters will be more grounded than the rush down parry most of the recent games have had. So if you know what I'm talking about, in the Amazing Spider-Man, of course, I think one of the like options that you have to be able to rush down and kind of parry your enemies is kind of like to where you do this slow down thing, and then like it'll be like Spider-Man webs them and he like bumps into them, and then he'll flip over into the air, and then he'll fall back down to the ground. Now why am I always comparing this game to the Amazing Spider-Man? It's because that game is, the Amazing Spider-Man games are kind of like the most realistic games. They're the most recent games. And to compare them to this wouldn't be too far off, seeing as they're the only ones that's going to compare when it comes to the actual look of the game, and the only ones that are going to actually compare when it comes to how much detail is in the game. And right now, Spider-Man PS4 is already winning. So, I mean, it can't be too bad that I'm comparing them too much in you guys' opinion, because right now, Spider-Man PS4 is killing this shit. It's killing this shit. And Once again, his counters are just going to be more grounded. His combos are going to be more grounded. And one of my favorite things out of this whole battle that's going on is when he actually webs the guy up and then he flips over him and then he like wraps the web around his neck. What's interesting about that is you get to see every single second of that web going around that dude's neck in full fucking detail. And he just pulls him back. And the motion that he does is just some of the most realistic movement I've seen in almost any fucking video game. So that's crazy, man.
Hey, Willie. Nice jumpsuit. Slimming.
Stay out of my business.
Wait, the demons. Who's their leader?
Keep my men alive and maybe I'll tell you.
Saving bad guys from other bad guys. Not how I thought today would go.
Bruh, holy hell, you guys just saw that, right? Our boy can take his combat into the air, and that fucking takedown was so sick. Like, that fucking, oh man, the movement in this game, like, just take a slow down look at this, man. This nigga fucking knocks him into the air, goes up with him, fucking I think he kicks him twice, right? And then he webs him up, he turns around, like in this kind of like fucking backflip, kind of front flip shit, and then he just pulls him and throws this nigga into the ground. Like, what? What? This game is too surreal, dog. It's too surreal, bro. It's killing me. It's fucking killing me.
Hey, big guy. Is that a Higgs field? That's actually really cool.
So starting from this point, I'm going to be doing a breakdown, sort of mini analysis for you guys, so that way you can understand this fight with this brute just a little bit better. So initially it seems like the player is doing some bullshit that isn't going to work, but this is really showcasing. But what this is really showcasing is that brutes in this game, unlike in other games, cannot be continuously webbed for an easy win. So let's get into it. The first thing we see is Spidey do a web rush this brute, which he gets punished for a neat kind of touch. I feel they should add, what they should add to this is kind of a more punishment, like the brute can go in for a very damaging combo, like just right after. Maybe something that takes somewhere around 25% of health. We know that his attacks, later on, you guys are going to see it, that he can actually kind of like take 20% off of each hit. So I feel like if he does get you with this type of thing, or if you do go for this, you should actually lose like 25%. And I feel like that's something that he should be able to do, just because of off of the fact of how easy this fight actually still is when I get more into the breakdown. But moving on, we see the next plan of attack is to web him up. That also fails very, very quickly. So right before the brute can rush the player, in a last ditch effort, they grab a sandbag and break the brute's armor. This is temporary, so the player goes in for a swift red rush, and what do you know, it works now due to proper staggering. If we look into the top right corner, we see it's possible to at least get a 6-hit combo in after a stagger is achieved, but it'll have to be quick cause these brutes do wake up pretty fast, and they do have wake up attacks. They can go right into it. So if you're not careful and commit to more offense besides that 6% combo, and later we'll see an 8% combo, so who knows how that exactly works. So at least it seems the brute will go for a flurry of punches after you stagger him, but he can also be punished as the negative energy he charges into his fist fades and he becomes open again due to his cooldown. So after another combo of 8 hits, of course, obviously, like I said before. So it seems it'll take somewhere around 14 hits to defeat these guys, or maybe that's something that they did for this kind of alpha or demo build just for E3, and maybe it's gonna take even more than this, and they're gonna be more challenging, or maybe it's gonna rely on the difficulty, meaning that this could be normal difficulty, and maybe in the harder difficulties, it could probably take like 25 to 26 or something like that to really take these guys down. But right now it's set at 14, so we're gonna go with 14. The brute goes down to an input command called active finisher. I'm guessing this name indicates that if you do not initiate this finisher, the opportunity will fade and it'll take another combo or another 14 hits to reach this opportunity again. So what's interesting is that this kind of brute is sort of like a mini boss, and I'm hoping that there's more brutes like this, but at the same time not like this. I want ones that become more challenging as things progress, and it seems like this is still pretty much the beginning of the game or somewhere into the first quarter of the game, maybe around the end of the first quarter of the game. But still, I would love to see more brutes and stuff that are kind of different. Like this one, he's more so about punching. The next one, I would like to see something that's probably more so based around him having a rocket launcher. We see a brute inside of the helicopter with Mr. Negative actually shooting a rocket launcher. So I would love to see something like that in an actual battle, or maybe that guy in an actual fight. I would love to just see that 100% out of this game at some point, just different kind of brutes. And I don't even think that Mr. Negative is going to be the complete villain, but that's a different video I have saved for you guys.
Fisk, your men are safe. Your turn. Who runs the demons?
You're about to find out. Check the roof.
He's here? Martin Lee. Oh, come on. No, 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 no! Let's go, let's go! Go! Did that just happen? Yeah.
I'm getting reports of a helicopter with a wrecking ball.
It's complicated. Turns out Martin Lee is running the demons.
The guy who runs the homeless shelter?
Like I said, complicated. Sit tight, Yuri. I got this. Please, let me got this.
That helicopter is destroying the city.
I know.
You need to bring it down.
I know.
Maybe you could superhero a little faster?
Working on it, Yuri. Too close.
So now we have a whole showcasing of the web swinging in this game, which it was revealed by Insomniac's official Twitter that web swinging will have a realistic physics system that goes on with that. So you aren't going to be able to do some of the ridiculous shit that you were able to do in other Spider-Man games, but the web swinging in this will actually be pretty fun, and it'll feel still pretty fresh, and it'll also feel realistic. You're gonna get that real Spider-Man feel out of this game. So maybe it's something that's gonna be close to the movie scene. That's the only real projection we have into a kind of Spider-Man in a realistic sense. But here's my query about this. Does the web swinging seem kind of slower than in the initial trailer? At this point, the game should be further along, so why is he slower now? The only answer to this is that faster web swinging in the initial trailer was an upgrade from a skill tree we have yet to see, while this build probably was more to showcase one of the web options you'll have inside of for the combat of the game. But even then, that doesn't give us any actual clarity as to why he's moving so slow. Here's a side by side for comparison though. You'll see that Spider-Man moves significantly faster in the initial trailer from E3 2016. So why the hell does he move so slow in this? Maybe once again this does have something to do with some kind of upgrade, or maybe you'll have to just press up or something on the controller and stuff for him to move faster. Maybe there's different stuff that you can do that'll make him move faster, or maybe it's a lack of an ability to really build momentum due to the certain things that's going on around, or maybe they're doing it for the cinematic effect for this actual trailer for E3. Who knows? But he does move significantly slower, and I'm not really liking that too much because I am one of those people who will boot up a whole fucking Spider-Man game, go through them long ass logos that you usually have to go through. You niggas know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Spider-Man games have like fucking 15 logos before you can actually get to the game. And that's not even including the little loading part and shit, because it's so fucking open world that it has to load at the on the title screen before you can even press start and go to like your save file. In most cases, maybe not in this one, but in most cases. But you know, I am one of those people who will boot up a whole Spider-Man game just to do some web swinging, and I'll find that shit fun for hours on end. And if he's so sluggish, man, that could be the one downfall to this game, Insomniac. So maybe at some point you guys can reveal that skill tree that actually allows you to do certain things, so we can get a few more details on this kind of stuff. Just maybe, who knows? Maybe this will get shot at the Insomniac Twitter, and they'll probably say something about it.
Okay, Lee, here I come! Hi, is this the flight to Newark?
So here we have one of the best confirmations throughout the whole damn trailer. So last year's E3 2016 trailer, we saw Spider-Man busting out the acrobatics in a cafe, and it was the most hype moment in the trailer for a lot of us, cause it was confirmation that we'll be able to enter some areas of New York, that this city was real, not just cubes for us to use for the web swinging in this game. But we didn't know if that was scripted or playable. But no, boys, no niggas, this is a completely playable part of the game. Now we just need confirmation we don't need a similar event to be able to do this stuff. Like, if we can get a confirmation that we don't need any type of event to go into like that cafe like we saw in the initial trailer, and we can just do that of our own accord, like maybe if we're web swinging and we get too close to the ground and we wind up busting into the cafe, that is something that's going to happen. Or if you bust into like any real building, that is something that's going to happen, and you'll have to fucking make your way out of there, and it'll be cool, man. Just imagine doing that, bro. That'll get that'll get Mr. Jameson really feeling those papers, man. He'll be in his feelings. He'll be like, this nigga is a fucking terrorist. Y'all know how Joe, I forgot this nigga name, Mr. Jameson, man. Y'all know how that nigga be, man. I think his name is Jonah Jameson or some shit like that. Like, I can't remember it right now. I'm too hype, bro. I'm just too hype.
Why are you doing this?
Because no one else will! Ah!
Lee, this is crazy! This isn't you!
You don't know me!
Need a plan. Need a plan real fast. I guess this is the plan! Come on, Pete, you got this! You got this, you got this, you got this! Please screw this up? Mr. Lee?
So after this point, there's some pretty detailed and straightforward QTEs. There was a lot of QTEs actually throughout this whole trailer, and the reason why I didn't mention them is because the QTEs really get very impressive around the ending of the trailer, so I just kind of wanted to save it until the end. But the QTEs in this game is something that actually caused a stir up in the community. People, I guess, didn't want QTEs in this game, but let me help you guys understand something. The QTEs in this game already seem like they're the right way to do QTE. They aren't the game itself. They don't ruin the game's experience. They add a more cinematic feel to the experience. Do you honestly think that there's any way Insomniac could have made the whole scene with the crane actually playable? No, obviously not. They couldn't make something like that playable because it would be hard as hell. It would require a whole different like kind of engine kind of setup, a whole different way of Spider-Man moving for you to actually be able to do that. And a QTE like that is something that's very good, and plus it's seamless. It doesn't take you out of the experience of the game. It won't remove you from the experience of the game, because the way this game actually works is you can go from free gameplay to cutscene to QTE to cutscene, from cutscene to QTE into cutscene back into like the gameplay seamlessly. There is no single second of pause in this game, and it going transitioning like that is a beautiful thing. We literally see him actually stop that crane from falling on the citizens of fucking Manhattan into fucking right back into web swinging. Like, that's interesting. Like, that's something that I feel like you guys really need to give a better chance. And I'm not talking to all of you because it's not all of you, but you people who are worried about the QTE, just give it a chance, man. The QTE could be very, very, very impressive. It can maybe change your mind about the QTE, because from what I'm seeing, the QTE doesn't seem like it's the wrong way to do it. The wrong way to do QTE, in my personal opinion, would kind of be that shit that some games do, to where it's more so like the game itself is QTE. So just imagine everything you do, such as that brute fight that we saw in this trailer. Imagine everything about that fight was more QTE based than actual fucking gameplay. That's when I feel we could have had a problem, and I would have definitely agreed with you guys that the QTE was too much. But the QTE in this game is actually pretty accurate. I'm loving it. The way how it actually is built into the game, kind of like a cutscene, which is what most QTE really is. It's kind of like, it's built into the game as a cutscene, but it's so seamless that it still look like you're still gonna feel like you're playing the fucking game. Especially when Spider-Man was fighting Mr. Negative on that helicopter and stuff, and he had to sway from both sides to try and fuck with the not the engine but the gas tank, so that way the helicopter would fall and shit like that. It just seemed so real, man. And then when he actually has the whole scene to where he has to web up the helicopter before it falls to the actual ground, that shit was just fucking beautiful, man. And it's just gonna add a more cinematic experience to it. It's gonna give you that immersive feeling like you're really Spider-Man, which is what these games need to be trying to capture. That's something that a lot of developers that have had an opportunity to do something, to do a Spider-Man game, that's something that they didn't understand. A lot of them just like to fill it up with a lot of the lore and stuff and just turn it into a full-on beat 'em up. And that's why you don't like those games, because those don't feel like Spider-Man games. Those games to where you can you can web swing, but you're only web swinging in these fucking expansive corridors and stuff. Like, I think is it Web of Dimensions? I'm gonna show a picture of the actual game so you guys know. But of course, it's just like those games just kind of don't work. And it's like, yeah, they're good, fun games. They have a lot of lure in them, but what we want as fans of these games is to feel like we're fucking Spider-Man, because video games are, again, escapism, because I know you heard that before. Video games are escapism, and as fans, nigga, Spider-Man has one of the abilities that I wish could be fucking real. And if I can get that out of this game and at the same time have a fun ass game that I can just play on my own with some very good QTE that makes me feel like I'm on some real Spider-Man shit, nigga, this may be the best Spider-Man game in my personal opinion. But anyways, that was my thoughts on the QTE in this game. I know a lot of you guys are worried, and you guys are probably still gonna be worried. It doesn't matter what I say, but I just had to throw that out there.
It's over. Come on, dude, let's go. Miles!
So holy fucking shit, my niggas. Miles Morales makes his video game debut, boys. Holy heck. I hope we get to play as him and Spider-Gwen. I guess this is all a part of that original story Insomniac is teaming up with writers from Marvel to create. And I'm hoping, man, I'm just hoping, please give us that Miles Morales. Because he has some different abilities that Peter doesn't have. And that'll lead up to some interesting gameplay mechanics. But if they're really doing a storyline that's going to integrate so many different freaking spiders, of course, I mean in humans, not just regular spiders. Why would you think that? That's just going to incorporate so many different spiders into the story and bring them in and give them their own plots. I feel like they should do some kind of co-op. And it doesn't have to be something to where people can just drop in and play as Miles Morales or Peter Parker and stuff like that. I feel like they should do a dedicated co-op mode because this game has so many different. It's gonna have so many different skills and abilities. It's gonna have so many different those web options that you can use. Just imagine teaming up with your teammates and only being able to pick one webbed option, and you guys had to take out like a group of people. I feel like no Spider-Man game has really crossed that dimension of doing a real like kind of multiplayer experience, not multiplayer, co-op experience to where you can literally either do some type of mission or do some web swinging and stuff, do some parkouring around fucking Manhattan, bro. So hopefully this game will finally do that for us. So that wraps up my analysis of the Spider-Man PS4 E3 2017 trailer. I love this trailer for what it had to show us and all it may mean for the future of the game. From Mr. Negative and Willie Fist to Miles Morales and potentially Spider-Gwen also being in this game because Miles and Spider-Gwen being put in a fucking game together, and then we can actually get. Oh man, this game is gonna be fucking great. This game is shaping up to really meet that Spider-Man fantasy the director mentioned in an interview, bringing this whole world of Spider-Man into one big bang and giving us what appears to be the best Manhattan to date to do it in. This trailer only served to further my trust in Insomniac and to believe in this project that they're making will actually be something that Spider-Man fans and this Spider-Man game we've been patiently waiting on. This seems to be the game that we've been waiting on, a game that puts us in the hands or give us or put Spider-Man into our hands to literally create our own experiences and our own story and really truly feel like Spider-Man. Not just those games once again that just wants to make the game into a freaking beat 'em up that's continuously the same niggas. You fight the same niggas over and over again until you finally reach some boss and stuff that was in a Spider-Man comic here and there, or that was in some Spider-Man cartoon and stuff like that, or from the movie and stuff. It's kind of like a different form of that plot and stuff like that. This game is going to be an original story that features different characters from, of course, the multiple different Spider-Man incarnations, and it's just going to be freaking great to see all of this go down, man. So already I'm starting to feel like this Spider-Man game, Spider-Man PS4 follows the spectacular Spider-Man run, and it also seems like it's going to be following the Amazing Spider-Man run as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, Miles Morales comes after the Amazing Spider-Man, which is I think the series in which Spider-Man dies. I believe so. I believe that's the one. Whichever one it is, it's also following from there too. So Miles is going to be in this shit. And the reason why I'm so hyped is because, like, man, Miles Morales, bro, that nigga gonna be in this game, boy. So we gonna be able to use like spider venom and stuff like that. Oh man, that shit is gonna be sick. But let me know what you guys think, man. This has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A class gaming and everything you do. Don't forget to keep it A class. And I hope to catch you guys in the next one. Peace the heck out.